All right, so I guess I should
Yeah,
tell you a story about my dad.
please.
All right, so little background for everybody is that last November, my father passed away, and that was an interesting. It was an interesting window of time for me in that he was diagnosed with cancer in August and he ultimately passed away in November. And we talked a lot on the show, so if you go back to our YouTube, you can catch up those segments of just all that I went through when he was still alive, and then ultimately when he passed. I landed on a place after he passed that I felt like I had a better relationship with him after he was gone, which is weird. I didn't anticipate that. But what that ultimately looks like now is when I am uh, praying is not the right word, but when I talk to the universe or God, I will oftentimes talk to dad and just go, hey, what's
That's
up, dad?
cool.
Now, something that's happened recently, one of the things I like to do is I live near Crescent Lake in downtown St. Pete. So I'll walk to Crescent Lake in the afternoon with my dog and I'll just sit on a bench for a little bit. Just sit on a bench, look at the water. I find the water to be very calming. Or I'll go to Vinoy, do the same thing, sit on a bench, look at the water. I find it to be calming. So earlier this week, I was walking my dog. Now, my dog is a little maniacal.
That's to say the
He's,
least.
so I have to be very aware of like, can't walk near other
Children.
people, children, especially not children, because he has gone a little crazy around kids. Anyway, so I was walking my dog to Crescent Lake and I went to the park bench. And part of what I'm doing with my dog is I'm kind of sort of trying to train him to not freak out with other dogs or kids or whatever. So I sit down on the park bench and I like get him calm. So he's like chill, I give him a couple of treats, and then I let him sit there. So I use that time to talk to the universe. So in this moment, sitting on a park bench, I literally and I don't care if people think I'm crazy. I just talk out loud. And I'm like, what's up, God? How are you? Let's just talk for a little bit. And I'll talk through some of the stuff that I'm going. So in this particular situation, Posse, my dog, is sitting there on the ground, just chilling out. And I'm having a little conversation with God. And then at the end of that, I have this thing that pops in my head. And I say out loud, hey, Dad, I know you're listening too. And I just kind of say that. And I go, and I was talking about something very specific to the universe in that moment. I said, Dad, I know you're listening right now. I said, you were always really, really good at this thing. I was like, so any insight you got, any wisdom, I'm open. And I tend to think, I actually really like the belief system of that you have multiple spirit
Yeah.
guides. And I kind of made a joke in this situation. I was like, Dad, I know you're there. God, I know you're there. Some dude, I don't even know
Yeah, a
who he
hundred
is, just
percent.
sitting in the back of the room going, Michael, I
I
got you.
got you, bro.
I got you. It's all good. You don't know me and
He
I don't
puts
know
his
you, but
Cheetos down. He's like,
yeah.
we're gonna get this one done.
Yeah. So I have spirit guides I don't even know, but in that particular moment, I was very very specific. Because I'm looking up at the sky and I'm just kind of like looking out over Crescent Lake, looking up at the sky, and I'm like, Dad, I know you're there. So because I know you're there, if you could just share any insights, I'm open to receiving them. I will pay close attention for anything that will come. As my head dropped back down to my dog, Posse was now sitting up. His tail was feverishly wagging in this moment. And he was looking up at me, and then he put his paw up on my leg, and he started going crazy. And I'm looking at him, and I was like, is dad there? And he just started like completely out of character. Like he went from, because again, I'm very intentional about getting him to chill, getting him to mellow, that the second I started saying, hey, dad, or is dad there? He picked up on it
Yup.
and he started going like absolutely like wag. I mean, it was not crazy like attack a child crazy, crazy just wagging his tail. And I was like, was everything okay? And he put his paw back down. Then he put his paw back up on me, completely like I completely unscripted. I would never like that's not my
That's
dog.
awesome.
And I'm like, and I kind of was like, I had a moment. I was like, Dad's here, and you're a dog, so you see things I can't
Mm-hmm.
see. You have that sixth sense that dogs and cats have. So Dad's here. And dude, I felt it.
Yeah.
I felt it sitting on that park bench under the trees at Crescent Lake. Dad was
It's
there.
beautiful, man.
It was so cool. It was so like in the moment, so real.
That gave me goosebumps. I'm not gonna lie. The
Yeah.
dogs and cats, all animals, they have that sixth sense 100%. Um, it's cool to think just because we're all energy and all the energy, none of it's ever wasted or goes away. We started the show talking about mycelium. I knew we'd get back to this. So the way the fungus, the science behind the fungus among us, is our genetic makeup has been touched by that mycelium because it was around 800 million years ago. Um, and because of that, the whole process of dying and going back into the earth, your DNA goes back into that mycelium, which in turn goes into the trees, which you touch when you're walking barefoot, walking through the mycelium. So it's not out of the scope of reality that you could not only are you talking to the energy that was your dad, but you channeled it right then
Oh
and
yeah.
there and brought it forth, and your dog was like, bro, yeah, more of this
Yeah.
please.
Yeah. Yeah. He was like, and as a rational, quote unquote, human being, I was like, oh, he just wants treats or something. But no, the more I was like observing him in this moment, he was very changed. He was very aware. And I just came to the conclusion Dad was right
It's the
there. He
knowing.
was the energy.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know,
yeah.
once you said that, the knowing, that is the key to that. What is what tells me that that is much more than, an experience, especially because when something just pops into your head like that and you don't hesitate, you just allow it to flow through. Oh,
Yeah.
dude, that's God, man.
Yeah. Well, that was what was making that particular moment interesting is that, again, as I am prone to do in the afternoon, I sit on a park bench and I will, whether I frame it as I'm talking to the universe or I'm talking to God, I was very specific in that moment that I was like, hey, I'm just talking to God. This is what I'm doing. This is what I'm working on. Show me signs. But at the end, when I was just like, oh, wait, Dad, you're there too. Like I had that moment. The second it popped in my head that Dad was there, it was like, not that I forgot he was there, but it was like it wasn't what I was doing in that moment. But the second that thought popped in, I was like, "Oh wait, Dad, you're there." That's when Posse went crazy.
Dude.
I know. And the cool like sweetness of this is something that since my dad has passed, probably more me than my brother because my brother's he's a
Mm,
little like
sorry.
curmudgeon. He's like, "Rah, rah, 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 rah." But like mom and I will share stories of like instances where like she called me 3 weeks ago. Um, called me at like 8 o'clock at night. Um, and it was kind of one of those where I missed the call, but I got her voicemail and it was like, and you could tell she was shaking. And I was like, she was like, Michael, if you could please call me. And I was like, oh no. And then I called her. And I was like, is everything okay? And she goes, everything's beautiful. And she told me a story about how a butterfly had
Dude.
landed right on her hand and there's no butterflies where she lives. And this butterfly came out of nowhere. So mom and I will share these stories of like our occurrences of seeing and being with with my dad and her husband. Um, so I called mom and I was like, I got to tell you what just happened with the dog. And she's like, okay. So I told her that entire story. She started crying.
Yeah, man.
She started crying. She was like, thank you so much for
It's
sharing that
real
with me.
deal, man. It's
Yeah.
good to have
And it,
somebody like that in your family you can share that kind of stuff with too.